All right, so over the last 19 years, Noman Bari has worked in various network, infrastructure, and information security roles in different parts of the world. This work experience spans from working in Pakistan to the United Arab Emirates, and now presently in the United States. In the last 11 years of his professional career, Noman has specifically focused on refining and maturing of his understanding of information security principles and how they can add value to an organization's business by minimizing cybersecurity risks. Noman graduated from Nova Southeastern University in 2017, where he earned his master's degree in information systems with a concentration in information security management. And Noman has also holds the following designations and certifications, and you might want to explain some of these, because some of these I actually don't know what they are, but I know most of them. The CISP, the CCSP, the CISA, the CISM, the ISO 27001, the LI and PMP. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce one of my former students, one of our best students, and it's a pleasure to have you today to talk about blockchain and its relevance to project management. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Marty, for a very nice introduction.
You're welcome.
So I mean, I was telling Dr. Marty that coming over here to Nova today was like I was recalling what I was going through back in 2015 when I took this class, this very class of project management by Dr. Marty. And at that point in time, that was my second semester here, and I was fairly new to America, doing a master's here. So all of those things were going through my mind. And I've come here after 2.5 years. I'm standing here after 2.5 years. Even operating that computer there was pretty insane, because I used to see professors now, and I was standing there doing this thing. And how many of you are international students here? International students? How many of you are fasting? 2 of them are fasting, so it's Ramadan, so right. I'm also fasting. We normally start fasting before the sun rises, and fast is still 2 hours away. So I have a limited pool of energy, and I will use it for my advantage, because I won't go anything, I won't say anything off tangent. I will stick to the point, and I will be saying only things which I really want to say. And one of those things is, the number one thing is, back in 2015, July 2015, Dr. Marty had invited one guest speaker, just like I'm here standing in front of you. Dr. Marty has invited one guest speaker who basically spoke on Agile project management. He talked about Scrum, what a Scrum Master does, all that stuff. Now after 4.5 years, I don't remember everything that was said that day, but I remember elements of it. If I'm standing anywhere, or if I want to research about Agile, I know what to look for, or how will I search that particular information. So although I didn't understand everything, but I still remember a few things from that lecture 4.5 years ago. That brings me to my second point. My second point is, during my university days back in Karachi, I did my bachelor's in electronics engineering from United University of Engineering and Technology. We used to have a chairman of our electronics department. His name was Dr. Noman. That is, I'm talking about 20 years ago. Okay. So whenever he used to discuss any topic which was not immediately useful for us, he used to say this thing to us, that consider this as a azan. Azan is like, in Muslim countries, 5 times a day there is a call of prayer. Whether or not you go to the mosque is another story. But still, when you hear it, you understand that this is azan. So the analogy what he was trying to tell us is, even if you don't understand something right now, you are hearing it, maybe in the future, you never know where that concept or that knowledge that you heard will be of some use to you. So same thing, what's going to happen right now. Blockchain is a fairly complicated topic. It's a very in-depth and wide topic. What I'm trying to do, or I will be trying to do right now here, is the way I have designed it. I will try to make you understand the concept of blockchain, and I will try to go in the breadth of blockchain and its entire ecosystem. If you go on internet, you will find a lot of information on blockchain. You will find a lot of information on the things that I will be discussing. But I can guarantee you right now, you won't find anything like this what is about to be unleashed here. Why? Because I've seen what's there. People get confused when they basically read blockchain or discuss about blockchain, because there's information on blockchain, but there is no information on entire ecosystem of blockchain. Like, there are bits and pieces, but how this whole infrastructure is working together, that is something which is unique, or what I'm trying to achieve here. So these bunch of certifications that you see here, my PMP, which I did in 2006, and my CISP, CSM, this has taken over a decade to do this thing. And no one ever, my boss or nobody ever, asked me to do these certifications or whatever. It's my personal passion in the information security field, so I keep on doing this thing. Same way, my master's in information, with the concentration in information security management, this MIS, I basically came to America to do this particular thing. That was my goal when I left Dubai. I used to work in Dubai. And then I came to USA to do my master's. So all this has taken a long time to reach, and still there's a long road ahead. So enough about me. Let's start. Did anyone research before coming to this session today about blockchain, or what blockchain is about? Anyone? No?
Only weekend.
Okay, that's good. Don't worry about it. So, what are the blockchain fundamentals? I found this useful resource, which is easier to relate to. So, blockchain is a persistent, transparent, public, append-only ledger. It's a public, transparent, append-only ledger. And do you know what a ledger is? Can I borrow this? Your paper? So if consider this a ledger. What is a ledger, basically? If ledger it has a list of entries. So consider this your blockchain. Blockchain in the sense that a block of that ledger, that whatever information she's writing here, whatever the information is being written here, the copy of this information is basically with each and every one of you. Consider this thing like.
That's what you got, decentralized.
Yeah, so I will be going towards that. So consider that this is your ledger. Every bit of information is going in there, and this ledger, a copy of this ledger, is with all of you. Why this concept is important, it will become clear as we move on. So blockchain is a system that you can only add data to, but you cannot delete it or not change the previous data within it. Blockchain does this through a mechanism for creating consensus between scattered or distributed parties that don't need to trust each other, but they trust the mechanism by which their consensus has arrived at. And this word consensus, you will be hearing quite a lot from me as this presentation goes along. So blockchain relies on some form of challenge such that no one actor on the network is able to solve this challenge consistently more than everyone else on the network. Blockchain randomizes the process, and in theory, it ensures that no one can force the blockchain to accept a particular entry onto the ledger that others disagree with, one that relies on the mechanism for a peer-to-peer network that can maintain updates in the ledger and then verify those updates in such a way that it is impossible to defraud and impossible to alter after the fact. So once the information is added to the block or to the blockchain, that information cannot be changed. That's the way the rules or the rules of the blockchain work. That's the key idea. If you remember nothing else, just remember this thing from this slide. That when the block is created and it's inserted into the blockchain, that information after that cannot be changed. That block information cannot be changed. You can only add to the chain, but you cannot delete from the chain. Just remember that. So next point is essentially blockchain is a specific type of database, a copy of which is replicated to each and every node of the blockchain network, as I was explaining before or mentioned before. The contents of the blockchain ledger, be a digital one, comprises of these core components. There is a mathematically computed digital transactions based on cryptographic algorithms that are replicated, shared, and synchronized throughout the node and the peer-to-peer network. And we will be looking at that later as the slides come along. And secured by the virtue of cryptography. And deleting and editing the existing blocks in the chain isn't allowed. So blockchain is immutable. Blockchain is based upon distributed ledger technology. These two words are very important to understand. One is immutable, as I was explaining before. Once the block has been added to the chain, it cannot be deleted, it cannot be modified. And it's based on this concept of distributed ledger technology. The ledger that you have, a copy of that blockchain, is basically going to exist in each and every system on that peer-to-peer network. Those systems on the network, they don't have to be directly connected. But if they are part of that peer-to-peer network, the blockchain, the copy of the blockchain will be the same on each and every one of those systems. And that's why it is immutable, because I can go and I can maybe hack into your computer and change the blockchain, but changing it in your system somehow won't change the copy in all of your other peers' systems. So that's why once the block is created, it cannot be changed, it cannot be modified, it cannot be edited. Only a new block can be added to it. And that's why the technology is based on distributed ledger technology. So blockchain genesis, where it came from, who invented blockchain? Basically, no one knows. No one knows who invented this concept of blockchain. People say that there's one guy, this name, Japanese name always comes up, Satoshi Nakamoto or something. Nobody can say for certainty that whether this is a single guy or a group of people who created, who invented blockchain. So this came out in 2008. So Satoshi Nakamoto, this person or a group of people, they invented this thing in 2008. There's a research paper there which was created by this person. It is available on this website. And the thing is, the entire presentation, this presentation slide, everything I will put on my LinkedIn. The recording that I'm using my iPhone and my GoPro, whichever comes out to be first, and even Dr. Marty has a iPad here. So whichever recording turns out to be fine, I will put up the recording and the presentation slide on my LinkedIn page. You can connect with me on my LinkedIn, just write my name, Noman Bari, you can see me on LinkedIn. So by this week's end, or I will try to put up everything there. Because the reason I'm mentioning this thing, because there's a lot of information which is coming your way. There will be a lot of links that I'm sharing here. You don't have to write those links because it will just waste your time, because I will be sharing it anyways. So this research paper, one thing that we are taught in our master's class or in our bachelor's classes is to read and read research papers. So this is perfect for you. If you find blockchain to be interesting for you, you can just go. If you have time left from your assignments and everything, you can go and try reading this thing. So there are basically essentially two types of blockchain. One is called permissionless blockchain and one is called permission blockchain. So in a blockchain network, node members participate in the process of block verification to create consensus under certain agreed upon rules. Based on the concept of permissions, there are two types of blockchain. One is called public blockchain, which is basically permissionless. Everyone can join and start the verification process. Ledger transactions are visible to everyone. You will all be able to see each other's transactions. Membership is open. Is it feasible for regulated business? That is something as an open-ended question from my end, because when you are regulating something, when you follow the regulations, you have to follow a lot of controls, and if something is really open, it's available to everyone, how will you apply those regulations? So one example for this application for blockchain is this Bitcoin blockchain. You will hear this word Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an application of blockchain and I will be highlighting this thing later on. The other thing is this private blockchain. So the private blockchain or permission blockchain, network owner controls who joins the network, and only few members are allowed to verify blocks. Visibility of ledger transaction is visible only to the members. It's suitable for private businesses, and obviously it is restricted. This hyperledger fabric. This is an example of permission blockchain or private blockchain. IBM has basically worked on it. There's a research, all the research is available on this particular website. If you really want to dive deep, you can do that. But coming back to the block, what is a block? We are talking about block. What is this block? So I've drawn this thing in Google Drawings. This is a very basic example of a block, which I thought drawing it and presenting it this way will be easier to relate to with varying degree of people with different understandings here in the class who have never seen the blockchain. So if you really want to dig deep, the link is there. But what does the block essentially contain? So in this part of the block header is basically hash of all the previous blocks. Whatever blocks have been created, the hash is basically it's a cryptographic, generated using a cryptographic algorithm. It's a SHA-256 cryptographic algorithm through which this hash is generated. It contains the hash of all the previous blocks that were created. The block will have its unique number, and then whatever transactions that are happening within this block or are recorded in this block, hash of those transactions is there along with the Merkle root. The Merkle tree or Merkle root is basically it's a mechanism, in the simplest words, through which the block's integrity is maintained. How will you ensure that the contents of this block has not been manipulated or has not been changed? So the integrity part, the enforcement of the integrity comes in through this concept of Merkle tree or Merkle root, and then the block metadata is there. So this essentially, to visualize in the simplest form for you to understand at this level, this is what the block looks like, or a basic example of a block. And then the chain, that's what the chain looks like. So in this chain, which I've tried to draw here, the most recent block, the most latest block, I'm going back from here. I didn't find any chain in Google Drawings, so I had to use an arrow. So just imagine that this is a chain. So this block contains hash of all the previous blocks, hash of this block, hash of this block, hash of this block. It has, and then it has its own identification. So that's why if you try to change any of this block or any of the information within these blocks, the whole thing will fall apart. And that's how the security comes in. Because the SHA-256 hashing algorithm, once it creates a hash, that hash is a one-way hash, is a one-time hash. If any value within these blocks changes, the hash value will change. And since there was this phrase that we use, distributed ledger technology, since the ledger is distributed, each one of you have a copy of this entire blockchain. If somebody tries to manipulate any of these blocks, they will have to change that information in all the other blocks and all the other blocks and all the other parties, all the other systems, since they are using an algorithm which is called consensus algorithm. I'm again and again using this word consensus algorithm. I will show you what that consensus algorithm is, but just remember that it's a set of rules which everybody follows. So if the hash of the block changes, basically the block mutates, the chain mutates, and everything falls apart. So hashing basically is a way to help in identifying whether the block has been changed. So next thing is consensus. So in a blockchain network, all nodes have identical ledger copy. We have established this fact till now. Nodes can issue new transactions. The central authority for transaction of validation does not exist. There is no central authority. If I'm standing here, if I say that this transaction is a valid transaction, I'm not the authority to do that. So there must be a way to reach this consensus, or there must be a way to reach this conclusion that this block is a valid block and it fulfills our purpose, whatever our purpose is. So how does the nodes in the blockchain agree to a new transaction? They utilize different consensus models depending upon the type of blockchain. I will be discussing one, or rather two consensus algorithms. If you want to read about all these consensus algorithms, there are 5-6 different types of consensus algorithm. Proof of work, Byzantine, they are based on 2 algorithms are based on Byzantine algorithms. If you want to read more about them, this is the link. And if for much deeper dive, this is the link. If at night you are unable to sleep, you have a sleepiness problem, just go and read these links and it will put you to sleep very easily. Then within the blockchain, there is, besides consensus, there is a concept of smart contracts. Basically, a smart contract is a software code that's running on top of a blockchain. It comprises of a specific set of rules, which is executed and automatically enforced when certain conditions are met. It has the ability to read and write to the blockchain, and a useful resource is here. So consider this, like, have you the best analogy that I can give right now for you to understand is, have you heard of this GoFundMe? GoFundMe, yes. And all these things, like if a GoFundMe is blockchain based, and I've enabled a GoFundMe page for some cause, and if I say, like, if a $5,000 limit is reached and there are certain conditions that are met, then the $5,000 will be released for whatever purpose it was meant to be for. So you can try to relate that concept with the concept of a smart contract. Real example is this graphic that I pulled out from this portal. Basically, Bob, in this thing, the idea about smart contract is Bob wants to sell his car, so he identifies with himself with certain public address. He signs this smart contract with his key, with his private key, and then Alice, who wants to buy this car, will buy this car. She finds Bob's car listed on the internet. She signs the contract with her private key, transferring whatever amount of money the car was worth to the public key of Bob. The smart contract will kick in. The smart contract will verify whether the condition of the car is valid, whether Alice has certain amount of money. If all these conditions are met, the car will be sold to the intended party. So that is an application, or that is an example of blockchain or a smart contract within a blockchain. Other examples are basically there on that portal. One application, blockchain application, that I can think of right now is, for you guys to easily understand, is this Carfax website. You know what Carfax is? Basically, whenever you're trying to buy a used car, you go to the Carfax, and it basically shows the whole history of the car. Okay, so I will try to make an analogy here with Carfax and the blockchain, because when I saw this thing, I thought this might be very useful for you. So in this case, there is this 27 Audi Q7. When this car was launched, when it went to the dealer, the entire history, when it was sold and resold, all this information, consider this as a block. This is a block of a blockchain. All this information is in this chain. On 15 June 2018, this car had an accident. I highlighted it there. This car has an accident, and so on and so forth. Now this information, this blocks of information, this is coming from who? Of course, this is coming from Carfax. I have, if you see here, there are white spaces here. I have tried to manipulate this information. I have changed this information. Anybody, maybe in that organization, only humans are working. Maybe they can try to manipulate this information. But if this information was based on blockchain, it means that this entire car history is based on this blockchain distributed ledger technology. As a copy is being maintained on all these different systems, so nobody can change this information. So in the future, maybe when you're buying a used car, that car will come with its blockchain history in your smartphone. You will have a smartphone, an app in the smartphone, which you will go and scan on that blockchain reader, on that car's dashboard or wherever, and you would be able to see the entire history, verifiable history for that car. And you will be sure that nobody has manipulated the car history in any way, shape, or form. Or for that matter, this technology of blockchain will, I think one day it will become so ubiquitous, so normal that when you are going to buy to Whole Foods or Publix, when you are going there to buy an apple or banana or whatever fruit, each fruit will have a blockchain-enabled tag. You will scan, it will show you from where this fruit was produced, how it was transferred, how it reached to that stall where you are looking at it. And that will create a whole lot of competition, because I would certainly go and buy my vegetables from a vendor who has a blockchain-enabled, who's selling fruit with a blockchain-enabled history, because I know exactly what I'm buying instead of just going anywhere else and buying fruit. So I will exactly know what the fruit has gone through. So that is one application that we can think of the blockchain. Then there are more applications, some of which I have highlighted here. One application is this, blockchain-enabled peer-to-peer smart electricity microgrids. So if you go there, there's a research there in Brooklyn, New York. What they are doing is they are building, as a, you can say, proof of concept or as a technology, microgrids. Microgrids is, let's suppose on a street there are 5 homes. They have solar panels. They are producing electricity. They are using that electricity for their purpose. And across the street there are 5 more homes who are basically using the electricity which is produced, which are using the excess electricity which is being produced by those homes which have the solar panels. So what is the advantage of these microgrids? When the electricity is produced from a main electricity production center, it has to travel a long distance through all these electric wires that you see. There are line losses and everything till it reaches to your home. In the microgrid environment, the electricity is being produced right where the consumer and the producer are located. So basically, in this research paper, when you will go and read, you will see that they are using blockchain as a way to control this mechanism. Then there are a couple of more articles here, blockchain technology in the energy sector. This is a research paper, it's a PDF, long research, perfect for you guys to read whenever you have time. It shows how blockchain is being used in the energy sector. And then there's another article. Then this is one of the articles which is very interesting for me. In the future, when one day, I don't know, 5, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line, when electric vehicles will become more and more common, you know that electric vehicles, they have batteries which store electricity. So the idea behind this, what's being discussed here in this paper is that once you have reached home or wherever you are, you have reached your office and your batteries are fully charged up, or excess energy, whatever your car has, it's going to feed in back to the electricity grid. Whatever excess energy your battery cells in your car have, they will basically feed that energy back into the grid, electricity grid, for which you will be rewarded. And how that whole ecosystem is going to work using blockchain, that if you want to read and understand, that is listed here. The reason I picked up these examples is normally if you go out there, if you go and discuss blockchain with anyone, the first thing people think of is cryptocurrency. That's the first thing that people think of Bitcoin, but there is a lot more to blockchain than just the cryptocurrency. So that is why I picked up these examples. And then this article is from UK government. They are discussing many different applications in United Kingdom which can utilize blockchain. If you Google blockchain in aviation, you will see how in aviation industry blockchain is being used to manufacture maybe aeroplanes or there are a lot of different applications within the aviation industry for blockchain. So there's a really nice research article. Maybe once I post my presentation online, I will add that article also. So one famous application for blockchain is cryptocurrency. So everybody talks about cryptocurrency. What are cryptocurrency? So here in the next few slides, I will be discussing cryptocurrency, and I will be discussing one of the consensus algorithm, which is called proof of work or mining. So what is a cryptocurrency? So cryptocurrency is a digital asset created using blockchain and cryptography designed to work as a means of value exchange. There are 2,000 plus different cryptocurrencies. You can right now go home right now and you can create your own cryptocurrency if you want to. There are amazing things available. And some famous cryptocurrencies are Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, and Tether. There are a whole lot of them out there, but these are the famous ones. And if you want to study more about cryptocurrencies, these links can take you there. What I really want to focus on, this concept of proof of work or consensus example of proof of work or mining. So what is mining? It's used in a public blockchain, which is called Bitcoin. It's a computer or a miner. Basically, this mining software is running on a computer. It can be your home computer, or they are huge. There are huge warehouses where these specialized mining computers running with specialized application which mine the coin, which basically, when I'm saying mine the coin in the easiest terminology, what I'm trying to say is there's a puzzle that needs to be solved. Once that puzzle is solved, you are rewarded with a coin. And in order to solve that cryptographic or mathematical puzzle, that computer, that specialized computer or your home computer, it will consume certain amount of processing cycle, and that's an understatement. It will consume a lot of processing cycle, and since it will be consuming a lot of processing cycle, it will be consuming a lot of electricity. So your electricity bill will, it will go out of proportion than you normally have. So that's what is happening here. So a computer or miner, a computer of the peer-to-peer network solves a cryptographic puzzle. The proof of work or mining, in other words, is then shared with all the nodes in that blockchain network. The network verifies the proof of work based upon pre-established set of rules. There are certain rules that everybody needs to follow. If the verification is successful, block is added to the chain. And the combination of these complex math puzzles and verification by many computers ensures that we can trust each and every block on the chain. And once the block is added, based upon the rules of blockchain that I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, they cannot be modified, that they cannot be deleted, and hence they are immutable. So mining is a computing intensive undertaking which consumes a lot of electricity, resulting in an increase of electricity bill. The most important thing to remember in the entire slide is this word of immutable. If after 4 years, 4.5 years, you come back here to present your own thing, if you can remember this single word in the entire presentation, immutable, the blockchain is immutable, that's good enough. I mean, if you can just remember this thing. So, here's the thing. The reward for completing a block, that solving that mathematical puzzle is 12.5 Bitcoin. Last time when I checked, it is 12.5 Bitcoins you receive. In February of 2019, the price of Bitcoin was about $3,500 per Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin is equal to $3,500. So this means that a miner can earn 12.5 multiplied with $3,500, $42,000. So you can imagine how much money is in this digital asset. So a single block, if you solve that puzzle, if your computer is able to solve a puzzle, you can get 12.5 Bitcoin. In other words, you can get $42,000. So there is a real money involved, and you need to remember this thing, what I'm telling you right now. There's a real money involved, because what I will be discussing in the next few slides will be directly relating to this concept. And you can see what the Bitcoins they are getting traded at. There is this website, you can see the live trading. You can see how much the Bitcoin is worth at this point of time. You can go and check out the site. Now, for next couple of slides, I will be discussing two important concepts or two important technologies related to blockchain, which are based upon blockchain and cryptocurrency. And as a project manager or as a master student who will pass out and go into the in the field, or maybe some of you are already working in the environment, you're already working in the practical field, this knowledge will be useful for you, what's about to happen right now. It's going to be extremely useful because this directly deals with the application of the blockchain. So there is this concept of RegTech. RegTech means regulation technology. In banking sector, in all these different sectors, we have certain regulations. We have to abide by certain rules. These regulations, they come from governmental agencies normally, which you need to abide by in order to perform your task or in order to perform your business, depending upon which type of business you guys are working in. So regulation is a rule or directive made and maintained by an authority. Regulatory technology utilizes IT to enhance regulatory processes by virtue of its emphasis on monitoring, reporting, and compliance. Nothing there. This company, ChainLSS, belongs to this regulatory technology field. I'm not endorsing ChainLSS. I don't belong to ChainLSS in any shape or form. I'm using this as an example to make you understand where the cryptocurrency or how the cryptocurrency is working in the real world in terms of monitoring it for malicious use or stopping its malicious use. So ChainLSS is a company. It works in this field which is called AML and KYC. AML stands for anti-money laundering, and KYC stands for Know Your Customer. Why we are talking about anti-money laundering and Know Your Customer? As in the beginning of the presentation, I was discussing that this blockchain is open, is permissionless, at least the public blockchain. Cryptocurrency, when I was talking about this Bitcoin and the proof of work mining, anybody with a computer can start generating Bitcoins. Since it just requires a lot of electricity, a lot of processing power. Let's suppose there is some bad actor out there somewhere in the world who has a lot of money, they have accumulated a lot of money by selling drugs. So when you're selling drugs, you are getting a lot of money, it might be difficult for you to cash out that money. So you can use maybe Bitcoins. You can have your own Bitcoin network or cryptocurrency network where you can convert your drug money into Bitcoins and then later use those Bitcoins to get them transferred into the actual cash. So that's why it is very important to monitor where the money is coming from and where this cryptocurrency money or these digital assets are going. So this ChainLSS company, they specialize in this field of anti-money laundering and knowing your customer, and specifically in the cryptocurrency blockchain space. So basically what they do is they provide AML software to prevent criminals from abusing cryptocurrencies. They provide investigation software to law enforcement agencies to go after bad actors. And they provide compliance solutions for cryptocurrency business and financial institutions to identify high-risk activities and report them to regulators. This thing is important because just like you have foreign currency exchanges, you go to Western Union or any other foreign currency exchange, you give them dollar or you give them your own local currency, whatever currency you have, and you get them transferred into your whatever intended currency it is. The same way you go to the cryptocurrency exchanges, you have your cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or whatever XRP. You give them your Bitcoins, they give you dollars or pound or whatever the currency you wanted. So this KYC, as per the regulation or the coming regulations, these cryptocurrency exchanges, they are supposed to know who is their customer, who is coming to them to get their Bitcoins getting converted into US dollars or whatever, who is using their services. So the ChainLSS software will help or helps in complying with the regulations. According to, I found this YouTube video by Jesse Shapiro. He's some big guy in chain analysis company. He's head of policy or something. According to him, in this presentation, which he gave a few months back, $18 billion of illicit activity happened just by Bitcoin in 2018. Just by just one Bitcoin digital asset, $18 billion were exchanged illicitly, or illegal money was exchanged. So it is very important to know where this money is coming from, where this money is going, and they are doing that. This happened this month, 3 weeks back. There is this Binance. Binance is a cryptocurrency exchange. 3 weeks back, or rather 4 weeks back, they were hacked. And $40 million of cryptocurrency was stolen from them, or equivalent of $40 million. Rather, there were 7,000 bitcoins, equivalent to $40 million were stolen from them. So this chain analysis company, if you go to this blog, their blog, you will see how they have tracked this $40 million, where this money has gone. So this money basically is right now is residing. They have identified through their software. They have identified there are 7 addresses, 7 wallets. Just like you have a bank account in cryptocurrency world, there is something called cryptocurrency wallet. It's similar to similar to a bank account. So they have identified 7 addresses where this $40 million are residing. Everyone is now looking at these 7 addresses. So hacking maybe was successful. They hacked. They transferred the money. But the thing is, how whoever is the culprit behind this hack, how will they get the money from these addresses into the real world? Because right now it's just a digital asset. It means nothing until it's transferred into some form of tangible asset. So they are basically tracking these 7 addresses which have these number of bitcoins there, and whoever is going to be foolish enough to withdraw the bitcoin or try to transfer, through their software chain analysis, they are tracking it. Law enforcement agencies are tracking it. Binance themselves, who got hacked, they are tracking it. So everybody's eyes are on these 7 addresses right now. So there's something interesting there. Same way, there's RegTech, regulation technology. In the RegTech space, there are many companies. I just took one example because that is something which is relevant to my today's presentation. Same way, there is something called fintech. As master students, you should be aware what fintech at least is. Okay, so fintech means financial technology. Any technology which is used in the financial sectors, in banks or anywhere, is called fintech. Here I will be taking one example of a company called Ripple. It's called Ripple. And this thing is very closely attached to me. Why? Before I go ahead here, I will try to explain why this thing is closely attached to me. Or personal, it's very personal to me. Back in 2014, November of 2014, when I was about to leave Dubai, where I used to work happily to a certain extent. When I was coming over here, I had this money, my master's, which I needed for my master's and for my survival in the United States. All my life savings, all my money, my master's program here, nobody funded me. My parents didn't fund me. The government of Pakistan didn't fund me. Nobody funded me for this education. I did it 100% myself. Okay, so I had this money from my job, selling my very nice car, which I loved. I had all this money, and as an international student, you know, when you are traveling, you cannot transfer more than $10,000. You cannot transfer more than $10,000 to different. When you are traveling by aeroplane, you cannot take along $10,000. Rather, I should say. So I could only carry $10,000 with me, but I had more money, which was not huge, but it was more. It was all my life savings, and so I sent that money through one of the foreign currency exchange companies to one of my relatives here in America. That money came over here. It took, I don't remember, it took around maybe 4 to 5 days or 3 to 5 days. It took that many number of days for that money to come appear in his account, in his bank account in America. But during those days, my heart was like, I don't know how to express myself, because I had no visibility at all. Where is my money? Whether he has received it, where is it going? I had no idea whatsoever. And those were the toughest 4 or 5 days of my life, because I had no clue where my money is or where it's reaching. There's no sense of acknowledgement, no sense of tracking, nothing, zero. So that's why what's about to happen here, what I'm trying to discuss with the concept of blockchain application is personally very relevant to my situation, or maybe many other international students. So fintech is again application process products in financial sector, data is transferable. So in last 20, 30, 40 years, as we know that data transfer has been standardized. Through the internet, we know we can transfer data, everything is standardized, there are standard protocols. If you want to transfer goods, shipping containers in 1950s, they have been standardized. So from ship to train to truck, the whole mechanism is standardized. These trailers or which carry the stuff, those what they are called, shipping containers, they are basically standardized across the world. So that helps in transferring goods from China to USA or wherever those goods are going, because the size of the containers have been standardized. But when we talk about transfer of money, cross-border money, like if I want to transfer $10,000 from Dubai to United States, that mechanism, the fastest way to transfer that money is for me to get the Emirates airline ticket, fly over to America. It will be faster than transferring that money through the regular channels. Basically, the regular channels is SWIFT. Bank-to-bank money transfer is happening through this mechanism, which is called SWIFT, which is like a Stone Age network. In my mind, it's a Stone Age network because it's so slow, there is no visibility, at least I didn't see anything like that happening. So this company, Ripple, using the cryptocurrency, which is called XRP and blockchain, they are trying to solve this problem. So Ripple says that they are creating Internet of Value. Internet of Value means they are trying to create an internet through which you can transfer large amount of money just like that, with a full verification, validation, with all the regulations which are out there, they will follow. And to do that, they have this network. They have created this network which is called RippleNet. Banks and institutions, they get connected to the RippleNet, and they use the applications that are created by this company, which I will be showing you right now. They use their applications to exchange money using blockchain-based digital asset, which is XRP. So Bitcoin is based on electricity, XRP isn't. These websites, they have a huge amount of information on XRP or how this whole RippleNet network is working. If you want to go and read very useful information, it's here. So XRP, just like Bitcoin, is a digital asset. The difference between is in Bitcoin, you have to consume a lot of electricity to generate 1 Bitcoin. You need to consume a lot of electricity to generate 1 single Bitcoin. And why the electricity is being consumed? Because the processing is being used to consume that electricity. In XRP, and that is happening because that consensus algorithm, Bitcoin uses the consensus algorithm, which is called proof of work, that mathematical computation that needs to be done, the puzzle that needs to be resolved to generate one block of information. So Bitcoin is using that. In XRP case, XRP uses this consensus algorithm, which is called distributed agreement protocol or distributed agreement algorithm. What it says is, if we all agree that algorithm, this distributed agreement algorithm, what it says is, if we all agree that this is a cell phone, then this is a cell phone. That's it. That is it. I mean, this is the fundamental basic way to understand. There's a lot more to it, but at least just remember this. That's the consensus algorithm which XRP is working on as compared to Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, you need to solve this mathematical puzzle. A lot of electricity is being consumed because there's a lot of processing cycles that are involved. So there's a lot of waste in XRP. That waste does not exist. So that's why it is faster as compared to Bitcoin. When you go to this website, specifically this one, /XRP, you can see all the rates. Like you can complete 1,500 transactions per second in XRP as compared to Bitcoin, which may be, well, that's 3 or 4 transactions. So it's super fast and it's practical. In the practical, it solves the practical problems, XRP, as compared to the Bitcoin. What you can think of Bitcoin is just like, how many of you know Napster? What was Napster? Does anybody remember Napster? Yeah. So when Napster came in, it was very cool. They found a way to digitize music. Napster found a way to digitize music, but then they had a head-on collision with the regulation and the copyright activists and the people who are generating music. Because if Taylor Swift is generating a music and if it is going on Napster, she's not getting any money from that music which she has, or whoever the singer is who has created the song. They are not getting any money for their all efforts that they have put in. So that's why Napster, in a way, it failed. But the second iteration of music sharing applications like Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, the second iteration of these music sharing platforms, when they came up, they found a way to monetize the music sharing and to give money back to the singer so that they can be, she or he can be rewarded for their efforts that they have done. So you can think of Bitcoin as an Napster, and you can think of XRP as this second generation of cryptocurrency, which is trying to solve real world problems in a practical way, following the regulations which are out there. So next thing, this is a predecessor to the next slide, which I will be showing. So this concept you really need to understand. It's a video which I will play. Hopefully, it's going to play here. There in the banking world, there is something which is called. There are 2 types of account: Nostro and Vostro accounts. Nostro and Vostro. These are Italian terms. Nostro bank account means Nostro means ours. My account in your bank. And Vostro means yours, your bank account in my bank. Basically, using the Nostro and Vostro accounts, 2 different banks, they exchange large quantity of money. Like if I want to send the money from my Bank of America account to, say, I don't know, National Bank of Abu Dhabi. These banks, they need to have a relationship, and in order to maintain a relationship, they need to maintain certain huge amount of money in their banking account in order for one bank to transfer money to another bank. And trillions of dollars of money is right now holed up in these relationships. You just need to remember this right now. Trillions of dollars of money is right now locked up in these Nostro and Vostro accounts. This is a 1-minute video I'm going to show you, and then the next video is going to show you the importance of why demolishing this structure is so useful. I hope it's going to work. I recorded it from my loading. I saw this computer was a bit slow. This is say data plan.
What's the difference between Nostro and Vostro accounts? Nostro and Vostro are Italian terms that describe the same bank account. They're used when one bank has another bank's money on deposit. Suppose Bank A uses Nostro account to refer to its account that's held by Bank B. Nostro means our, so Nostro account is a shorthand way for Bank A to say our money that is on deposit at your bank. Bank B refers to Bank A's account, which Bank B holds, as a Vostro account. Vostro means your, so Vostro account is a way for Bank B to say your money that is on deposit at our bank. A Vostro account can belong to a company or an individual. Banks in the United Kingdom and the United States often hold a Vostro account on behalf of a foreign bank. This account is held in the currency of the country where money is on deposit. A Nostro account is the record of the bank whose money is at another bank. These accounts are often used to simplify trade and foreign exchange transactions.
So now we will see, if it allows me to see, how the blockchain or XRP or Ripple are trying to solve this Ripple is trying to solve this problem, where when you see these two buildings, Bank A and Bank B, this is like thousands or millions or I don't know, hundreds of thousands of banks in the world. If they want to change money from one bank to another bank, they need to maintain this account. So a lot of cash is right now stuck up in. So let's hope it works. So it will give me.
At Ripple, we've talked a lot about the Internet of Value, our North Star of enabling money to move like information does today. But how does the Internet of Value translate into banking? It starts with your customers. Your customers' payment demands are changing, and the Internet of Value plays a large part in delivering on those demands. For consumers and businesses, they are demanding global transactions that are seamless, real-time, certain, and cost-effective. Yet today's global transactions fall far short of those expectations. That's because the current payments infrastructure is a patchwork of centralized networks, legacy technology, and different payment rails. It's disparate. The technology, systems of record, messaging, and rules are different from one network to the next. It's slow. It takes an average of 3 to 5 days to settle across the numerous intermediaries. It's error-prone. Failure rates are high, and data flow between intermediaries is poor. And it's costly. Processing costs are high, an average of $25 to $35 for each payment. The downstream impact of these problems provides a subpar experience that's driving customers from your bank to fintech providers that can provide a better customer experience. We're solving this with RippleNet, which is the cornerstone of enabling the Internet of Value. RippleNet is a global decentralized network that brings together a diverse ecosystem of payments players for the first time in history. Let's look at what could be the fully realized future state of RippleNet, starting with the ecosystem of players who are categorized into 2 functional groups. First are network users. These are corporates, SMEs, small banks, and payment providers who only send payments. Second are the network members. These are banks and payment providers that serve as the foundation of the network as they process payments and source liquidity. Network members process payments through our product, xCurrent, which provides real-time settlement with bidirectional messaging. With xCurrent, banks and payment providers can process payments more efficiently through the pre-validation of every transaction to eliminate failures, and through rich data attachments for every payment. It also provides payment certainty through the pre-disclosure of information prior to settlement to eliminate failures, and through atomic settlement that provides pass-fail processing across all intermediaries to avoid settlement-like risk. Network members can also source liquidity through our product XRapid, which provides access to an on-demand pool of liquidity through digital assets. XRapid provides the ability to lower liquidity costs by being able to source liquidity on demand and reduce the amount of nostros required to make global payments. For network users, again, these are corporates, SMEs, small banks, and other payment providers, they can use our product XVIA, which is a standardized API-based interface to originate payments through their banking partner. Through the standard interface of XVIA, network users can benefit from all the capabilities that RippleNet brings. They can access across networks globally, they can send payments on demand in real time, they can attach rich data like invoices to any payment, and they can gain complete visibility into payment status and delivery timing. So let's recap the products and the problems they are built to solve. XCurrent is for banks and payment providers looking to process payments more efficiently and with certainty, overcoming today's 4% failure rate for global payments. XRapid is for payment providers and banks looking to source liquidity on demand through digital assets, freeing up the $5 trillion in trapped global liquidity. And XVIA is for corporates, SMEs, small banks, and other payment providers looking for one standard interface to send global payments.
So the key thing here to remember is he said $5 trillion are right now stuck up in this Nostro accounts. And using the XRP, using the blockchain, that money does not have to be stuck up. And using the RippleNet, the banks, they can use XRP to transfer money the way they have described. So you can read more about it again on the portal, or there are a lot of instructional videos there. So because I think I've already taken too much of time, I just want, it's okay?
Going? Yeah.
Next thing, the negative applications of blockchain. People find a way to use cryptocurrency or the application of blockchain, which is cryptocurrency, to use it in a negative way. One thing, there are two threats that I will be discussing here. One is called ransomware, and the other is called cryptojacking. So, ransomware is basically, the idea is simple. The attacker will send you a phishing email or a phishing website link that will cause, or a phishing link within the phishing email, whatever way you want to say it. What it can do is, or attachment in a phishing email. The end result will be, there will be a software which will be installed, a malicious software which will be installed on your computer. That software is then go and try to talk to its command and control server, which will then download this ransomware software on your computer, which will then encrypt the hard drive of your computer. And in order to decrypt the hard drive of your computer, the attacker will ask you to pay. They will ask you to pay with certain number of bitcoins, whatever bitcoins they want, 1 bitcoin or 2 or 10, 15, 20 bitcoin. So that's why it's called ransomware attack. Like if an organization, if a company, if a hospital is attacked by a ransomware software, all their computers will become, the data on all their systems in simplest form will become inaccessible, and they want their data back, they will have to pay the attacker certain amount of bitcoins or whichever cryptocurrency that attacker prefers in order to get the decryption key, if possible, if he sends the decryption key to decrypt the data. So that is a ransomware. That's where the cryptocurrency application comes in. They are asking for the bitcoins in order to give you the key. The other thing is cryptojacking. In cryptojacking, the attacker does not encrypt the hard drive of your computer. They don't encrypt the hard drive of your computer. Rather, they try to use your computer's processing power to mine that proof of work, that mining thing, to solve that cryptographic puzzle to generate a Bitcoin. They will use your computer's processing power to generate a Bitcoin. You won't know, you will say that your computer is running very slow or your network is running very slow, but the thing is, at the background, maybe there's a possibility that the attacker has installed this crypto mining software, and they are trying to harness your computer's processing power, and your electricity bill is going way off the charts. You don't know why your computer is consuming so much electricity, but that is happening. So they are not destroying your computer, they are using your computer's processing power. So all this money, which cryptojacking or ransomware is generating, is eventually is going to go somewhere. Eventually, what use of Bitcoin if you cannot go and buy a Ferrari, or if you cannot go and buy your own really nice home or a really nice vacation? You need to convert this digital asset in a money which you can actually go and use. So that's where the chainlessness comes in. You can track those cryptocurrency transactions happening on the internet, where this attacker or malicious actor is trying to get the money converted into US dollars or whichever currency it is. And that information is available on the Chainless's website, and there's a whole lot of information on ransomware and cryptojacking, some of which I have put up here for your use. And last slide talks about project management, the class in which you are in. So why do you, as a project manager, why do you need to know about blockchain? I think I don't have to say right now, why do you need to know? Because by the time you will go into the practical field, or maybe you're already working in the practical field, these issues that we have discussed here, or different applications of blockchain, they will come up in your field. Maybe you are asked to manage a blockchain migration project for a bank who is trying to convert their network from SWIFT to XRP. A project can come up like that. In project management, there's something called risk management. You want to manage risk in your project. The risk of ransomware are always there. The risk of cryptojacking are always there. Just few examples. So as a project manager, you are supposed to know how will you manage those risks. So knowing whatever I have discussed, or the topics that I have discussed at certain elemental level, all of this information can, some way or form, can come in front of you in the field, in the project management field. So as the integration of cryptocurrencies in the economy continues and evolves, you as a project manager might come across projects that are dealing in cryptocurrency in some shape or form. What if one of your large customer comes up to your company and says, from now onward, we'll be paying by using Bitcoin? Are you going to stop accepting business from them? No. So I have a backup right there. That's why I have to. So no, you won't. You will basically go towards having a project done so that you can accept Bitcoin, implement the software, whatever requirement is. Risk management, I touched upon. Blockchain-based projects in banking, financial sectors can come up. Then banks can go towards introducing, banks can become part of RippleNet to facilitate their customers to send cross-border, to facilitate their customers' cross-border money transfer needs. The region that I have come from there, from the Ripple's website, I saw that NBAB, National Bank of Abu Dhabi, UAE Exchange, Saudi Arabia's Central Bank, Al Ahly Bank of Kuwait. This is just few of the names. These banks and that region are already converting towards, are already joining RippleNet. Why? Because, like me, there's a huge number of large thousands or hundreds of thousands of expatriates from Pakistan, from Philippines, from India, from Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, are working in these countries. And every month they send whatever salary they get, they send certain amount of money back to their home country. They send large billions of dollars of remittances. So if let's suppose this NBAB, National Bank of Abu Dhabi, has a corridor, or a corridor, when I'm saying corridor, or when Ripple says corridor, it means it's a communication channel between one bank, let's suppose the National Bank of Abu Dhabi, and a bank in Pakistan, say National Bank of Pakistan. They will establish this corridor or a communication channel over RippleNet to transfer money, and if they can facilitate their users, their customers, to transfer money easily, they don't even might have to go to the Western Union. They can do it easily, logging into their banking portal and just transfer the money to whichever destination they want to send. So all of these banks, looking at the benefit of XRP and Ripple, they are joining. And they don't have to maintain the Nostro accounts. They don't have to maintain this huge amount of dirham or real or dollars in their bank account to transfer or facilitate this money exchange. So these are the real examples where the project management, as a project manager, you might be required to manage these sort of projects. And if you have a knowledge, if you know, yeah, I heard about blockchain, yeah, it's immutable, yeah, there's this concept of proof of work, or there's this technology called RippleNet or Ripple or XRP. If you know these terms, at least you can have a basic meaningful conversation with anywhere in the world. If you can remember even 1% of what I have said here, you can go and research all this information, and you can build upon, and you can take a deep dive into whichever area you want in any of these slides. Each of these slides that I have discussed here, hours and hours and hours can be spent on each one of these slides. There's so much data which is out there. My purpose for this presentation was that I just wanted to make you understand or give you a highlight of the entire, a certain extent of this ecosystem, this iceberg of ecosystem of blockchain. That was my purpose, was to give you a basic understanding of this ecosystem of blockchain, how these cryptocurrencies are working, what are the threats are. So maybe it is useful for you in the future. So that's the conclusion. So if you can't explain it simply, maybe you don't understand it well enough. That was something said by Albert Einstein. So maybe I was able to explain a little bit simply for you to understand and remember. Even if you remember 1% of it later in the future, that will be good.
You're saying it's similar to Zelle, Z-E-L-E, where we transfer from one account to another, or to somebody's phone number, we just transfer.
Yeah, but that is I don't exactly know how much amount of money you can transfer, or whether you can use it to transfer cross border from one country to another.
Right. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so that part I'm not too sure of. So that was my presentation. I hope it was useful to you. I didn't waste your time. And again, you don't realize right now, there were a lot of, maybe you don't realize right now, but there were a lot of concepts, there were a lot of things that were discussed here. And all of this information is right now lying on the internet in their own silos. The people of fintech, they won't talk about maybe RegTech, or the people of the people who are talking about project management, they might not be talking about all this stuff like this, or the people in cybersecurity, in ransomware and cryptojacking, they might not be talking about fintech or RegTech. But right now, if you choose to, you have this understanding of all these different elements within this ecosystem and how this is interconnected. In next few days, by the end of this week, I will try to upload this video. Hopefully it's recorded in a right way. I will upload it on my YouTube channel. I will link it to my LinkedIn with the presentation. All of this data will be accessible to you forever. That will be my blockchain. And you can create a copy of it. Plus Dr. Marty has a recording there also. So this will be useful for everyone. So I hope it was useful.
Thank you.